Thank you, Andrea. I work for Deutsche Welle Akademie, and Deutsche Welle Akademie is the media development wing of Deutsche Welle, which is the German public broadcaster, for those of you that don't know anything about DW Akademie. And we've been working in media development for over 50 years, but it's always traditionally in journalism education and journalism training. And it's only in the last 10 years that we've moved into looking at the media as a whole kind of ecosystem, something we heard earlier, and looking at media viability and business models for sustainable media, and also looking at journalism education, digital rights, and media and information literacy. And today I'm going to talk about our media and information literacy work. So we understand that media and information literacy is about enabling people to understand and use media. And so from the media development component, we're really interested in reaching the consumers and working with who's consuming the information and the news that we're sharing. And so in 2013, we started to think about how do we work with media and information literacy. What do we understand it to be? And we aligned ourselves with UNESCO, who were at the same time developing their media and information literacy work and growing in promoting it. We're very much aligned to human rights principles, and we are the kind of underlying pillar of all of our work is Article 19, which is about freedom of expression and access to information. And so under this, we came up with looking at what are the skills that are needed of an individual in order to be able to understand and use media. And so we have a set of 5 competencies that citizens need, that consumers need in order to be able to do this. And so these are to create, be able to produce and share your message, be able to access it, so we're able to find and use the information, to be able to analyze it, so to understand and assess the media ecosystem, to be able to recognize what misinformation, hate speech, cyberbullying, to then think themselves and reflect on all of this and to say, well, what are my rights and what are my obligations, and then for them to act. And right now, we see a lot of focus really on the act, that we want consumers to act in terms of media and information literacy. We keep saying, oh, we need media and information literacy as the kind of remedy to all of the problems that we're seeing right now in the world. And I quite often hear this being bandied about, not just internally in Deutsche Welle Akademie, we all kind of have these conversations, is media and information literacy the answer to radicalization? Can it solve youth violence in Latin America? Can it be, what's the role of media and information literacy in all of these social problems that we're seeing today? And this is something extremely complex, because the media has a role in all of these things as well, and the information, and what we've heard the last 2 sessions about how information is spread and misinformation, and all of these things are affecting all of these bigger societal problems. And so at the moment in Deutsche Welle, we work on media and information literacy in 21 countries across 21 projects across 22 countries in the world. We work across Africa, Asia, Latin America, North Africa, Middle East, and Eastern Europe. We don't work within the EU because we're a development organization that's funded from taxpayers' money, and so all of our work has to be outside of the West, so North America as well. And we have these 5 competencies that we consider to be your media and information literacy. The 5 together make you able to kind of responsibly and empower you to be able to engage in our media environments, but they're not all equal. And so for us, create has always been the kind of hook to reach people. And in the beginning, this was how we started our projects. So in the beginning, we started in 2013 with a project in Namibia and a project in Cambodia. And it was all around youth, and it was around training young people as multipliers to go out into their community to then run more trainings and workshops and summer schools on media and information literacy. And we created huge networks of, kind of what we call in Namibia, the Media and Information Literacy Initiative family. And people wanted to be part of this family, and you created a momentum around media and information literacy in the country. And this was very successful, but we quickly realized that people were excited to be able to create, and then with create, you then embed all of the other access, analyze, reflect, and act skills into the project. But what we realized quite quickly was that this is a drop in the ocean. You can only, so we train up these multipliers in summer schools or in diploma courses. We have different levels of what you can get to in terms of training, but ultimately, this is a mass problem that needs critical mass, and this is the easiest and fastest way to start, but we need to think a bit broader. And so at this point, we said, okay, we need to really be getting into the classroom. We need to be talking to the Ministry of Education. We need to be getting media information literacy into curriculums, and this is something that UNESCO has been very, very big on since the beginning, and they've done a lot on curriculums for teachers. And so we came on board to look at how do we facilitate this? How do we use our local partners, because we work through our partners in all the countries we work in, how do we move together to create a lobby and a momentum for getting media and information literacy into the education system? Now, this is a long haul thing, because if any of you have ever tried anything with ministries of education, they're not changing their curriculum very fast. And yeah, it's the long-term goal. So it's just one approach which has been successful in Palestine, in Cambodia, in Moldova. We've managed to get it into the curriculum. And then you have the big problem of, okay, we have to train all the teachers. We have to get it into the teacher training vocational colleges. We have to get it in. And so it's a very big movement that an organization like Deutsche Welle, which is very small in reality to this, can't do alone. And so we are now working very much in partnerships and collaborations to see how do we move to this next step of critical mass. We talked earlier, I heard people talking, I think it was from Pointers, about the fact that we have very different problems with misinformation depending on the region, depending on the country. And so it's the same with media and information literacy, of course. And although we traditionally, in the beginning, started with youth, because they're the majority of the population in most of the countries we work in, and also easy to reach, and all creating things already on their phones or whatever, so interested to join in on a media and information literacy course, we then quickly realized, okay, but young journalists also need these skills, and so do adults, women, anybody that's engaging and wants to be active in terms of the media environment, in terms of sharing information. And so in Georgia, where we have a big project working with young students, the focus is on fact-checking. And fact-checking for us would come under the kind of competency of analyze. And so analyze is the kind of the umbrella or the big balloon that pulls the project up, and then all of these other competencies are brought into the project under a fact-checking initiative called Myth Detector Lab in Georgia, which is looking at propaganda coming from Russia, propaganda coming from the West, and fact-checking all of it to see what does it actually mean for Russia, which has a big problem with these information wars. Then we move over to Guatemala, where we work with a radio station. And originally, a radio station was a youth radio station, and thought, okay, we'll just go into schools. And we will run kind of fun kind of satellite where the camps where the children or youth can make their own shows and can broadcast them. And then they realized quickly that they wanted to actually move this and develop it further. into a mill project, looking at all of the areas of mill. And as they did that, they realized, well, actually, we can develop mill. Oh, sorry, time's up. We can develop mill for the radio, so that we can actually reach all the indigenous groups. We have indigenous language radios, community radios all over the country. And then finally, the one last project that we have, which is then looking at how to collaborate with a bigger picture, which is with the media houses themselves, which we have the reach to, because we work with local medias. We work with building up the media systems in the countries we work in, is in Mongolia, where we are now working on a fact-checking project with Deutsche Welle, have their own truly media collaborative verification program. They have a deep digger project looking at deep fakes and audio forensics, and working with the Media Council in Mongolia, so the journalists are all collaboratively using this material for the media system, and then also working with the teachers and with the civil society to bring mill from both sides. So very, very quickly to answer my last question, can mill defeat misinformation? It's very much a repetition of what we've already heard, which is that we need the platforms, we need governments, we need the media themselves, as well as civil society organizations and educators. They cannot do it alone. Sorry.
Thank you.